Hi, I'm Stacy Keach. Join me right now for Mysterious Places as we travel to central Italy.
They are the cities of the dead. Vast burial grounds with thousands of tombs laid out like houses. In some, we find strange burial chambers with rooms and hallways. In others, hundreds of vivid wall paintings depicting scenes of everyday life. All were crafted nearly 3,000 years ago by Italy's first civilization. To investigate, we travel to central Italy, land of the ancient Etruscans.
Tombs and burial chambers of ancient peoples are often rich depositories of art. One attribute of Etruscan art has become an important tool for dating ruins and artifacts. It is fashion. It seems that archaeologists often use hairstyles and garments, as depicted in Etruscan art, as tools to help them date the art. Just as we do today, the Etruscans changed their fashions over time. Heavy garments were discarded for lighter fabrics. Long tunics became shorter. New patterns were introduced. But while our knowledge of Etruscan fashion seems detailed, still we have few answers to some of the most basic questions about the Etruscan people.
This was once the heartland of the Etruscans, a thriving civilization which dominated Italy in the days before the Roman Empire. To study this lost civilization, you must come here to the area once known as Etruria in the western part of central Italy. Wedged in between the Tiber and Arno rivers, it is a land of sweeping farms, hilltop cities, and lush green valleys shadowed by expansive mountain ranges. The Etruscans ruled this land during the height of their civilization from the 7th to the 3rd century BC. Though their civilization ultimately vanished, they left behind a rich and lasting legacy rendered in stone, marble, and precious gold. It is by probing the remnants of their culture, their tombs, artifacts, and artworks that a clearer picture of the Etruscans begins to emerge. If you travel approximately 22 miles northwest of Rome, you come upon what was once the Etruscan stronghold of Cerveteri, a perfect starting point for your journey into the Etruscan past. You can explore the graveyards that once surrounded Cerveteri. They are the last remnants of this most noble city. This is one of the best preserved, the Bondataccia Necropolis. Entering the necropolis, you come upon an almost surreal landscape covered with large earthen mounds. Wind your way along a central roadway, complete with wagon ruts. You'll discover other terrace-style buildings carved into the rocky hillsides. Some of these structures are little more than simple underground chambers. Others reveal a labyrinth of rooms and hallways. All are tombs. What do these cities of the dead tell us about the lives of the Etruscans? Quite a lot, as it turns out. In fact, archaeologists like Tonino Merenda use the tombs as the focal point of their research into the ancient Etruscans.
I più importanti sono questi. In primo luogo, le tombe sono sempre
The reason
state
that the
costruite
tombs are more revealing is because the Etruscans constructed and adorned their tombs in exact image of their homes, and the items that they left in them were exact copies of objects in daily use.
This point is vividly illustrated in Cerveteri's Tomb of the Reliefs. Lining the walls are stucco reliefs of helmets, swords, knives, and other daily items. The Etruscans presumably believed they would use these items in the afterlife. In fact, so convinced were the Etruscans of this afterlife that they often brought food and wine to the tombs as offerings to the dead. The Tomb of the Reliefs is an exception at Cerveteri. The dozens of other tombs are much less adorned. But once you know where to look, you'll discover many intriguing elements inside the tomb. So it's always good to have a local guide like Mario Baiocchi along.
We are now entering the tomb known as the Tomb of the Cornice, which is very important because it mirrors most faithfully an Etruscan home, because remember, they built their tombs exactly to the image of their homes. This would have been the dining room, and here we have a chair, but these are in fact the beds on which they reclined whilst they ate, because remember that the Etruscans ate laying down just like the Romans later did. And this cornice that ran all around would have been designed in a home to hold the best china, just as we do today. We display it. In a tomb, there we display the china reserved for the dead. And here is an interesting thing. This would have represented a bedroom, and on this bed you can see that there is the stylized representation of house, which indicates that the lady was buried on this, because they believed that the woman was the heart of a home.
Today, the tombs at Cerveteri appear dark and foreboding. But imagine 2,000 years ago, china lined the walls. Pots were scattered about. A pair of slippers may have rested at the foot of the bed. Many of these artifacts have miraculously survived over the past 2,000 years. The Museo di Via Giulia in Rome contains one of the finest collections of Etruscan artifacts in the world. To truly appreciate the sophistication and wealth of the Etruscans, you need to visit the museum to marvel at the exquisite artistry of these artifacts. James Franklin, a professor at the Intercollegiate Center for Classical Studies in Rome, believes the artifacts reveal a lot about the status of the Etruscans.
Well, they certainly were very advanced for what was going on around them, and they're living a very high and elegant lifestyle. And they clearly had a great deal of money and a great deal of love for life, and they were the ruling power.
That wealth is depicted in the finely crafted sculpture, pottery, and gold jewelry. Other artifacts tell us about their beliefs, such as this rare find, the so-called sarcophagus of the bride and bridegroom. Discovered in a tomb at Cerveteri, this masterpiece of Etruscan sculpture represents a convivial bed. The woman's very presence alongside her husband suggests a position of equality. But what about the language of the Etruscans? Did they leave behind any written documents or books? The Etruscan language has long been a mystery, since very few examples of their writing survive. These rare gold tablets uncovered in the seaside city of Pyrgi are the exception. The tablets are written both in Etruscan and Phoenician. By first translating the Phoenician, researchers were then able to decipher the Etruscan letters. This tablet tells us that in the 6th century BC, the king of Cerveteri dedicated a temple to the goddess Uni. Unfortunately, few other examples of Etruscan writing survive. Usually, they are names inscribed on pottery and other items. So we must look for other means of deciphering the mystery of the Etruscan civilization. We must look to the magnificent painted tombs of Tarquinia.
Stay with us as we continue our investigation of the rise and fall of the Etruscans.
Here's a mysterious places travel tip. The countryside northwest of Rome is known for more than just its ancient Etruscan sites. Other attractions include Lake Bracciano with its 15th century castle and the Monster Park of Bomarzo with 16th century sculptures of mythical monsters. From Rome, the region is easily accessed by bus or train.
We're back in Italy with the rise and fall of the Etruscans.
Tarquinia. For those who live here, it is a bustling Italian town. A melding of the modern and medieval. For the thousands of tourists who visit every year, it is yet another place to trace the mystery of the Etruscans. The original city, built around the 7th century BC, actually lies 2 miles from modern Tarquinia. As in Cerveteri, here you'll find many underground tombs. Only these tombs are strikingly different from those at Cerveteri in one important respect. The tombs at Tarquinia contain vibrant frescoes. Painted on thin layers of plaster, the frescoes were created during the most prosperous period in Tarquinia's history, from the 6th to the 5th century BC.
In the painted tombs at Tarquinia show a very high level of sophistication of painting there, but it's a very interesting painting. It's black line technique. When you see it, you'll see that they outline everything and then they color it in. So there's not the development of palette and shading the way we think of painting.
Researchers have uncovered over 150 painted tombs at Tarquinia. They located the tombs using a type of periscope pushed into the earth. Then the tombs were carefully excavated. Only a handful of tombs at Tarquinia are open to the public. Yet they still offer a remarkable glimpse into the lives of the Etruscans. Scientists believe the friezes probably reveal scenes from real life. The tomb of the jugglers is one of the best preserved. Here, it's believed, the character in the middle is the deceased being entertained by musicians, jugglers, and dancers. The Tomb of the Jugglers offers a glimpse of everyday Tarquinian life more than 1,000 years in the past. If you ask permission, you may be allowed to enter one of the tombs not open to the public. Of course, it helps if you're an archaeologist.
The scene represents a scene of banqueting. We see 3 couples being served at a banquet. The central couple may represent the man who was buried here. And to his left, we have here a scene of music, one of the most celebrated of the Etruscan pictorial art. But the focus of this whole painting is the young man holding something which is an egg. Egg, symbol of resurrection, symbol of a life they believed in, a life eternal that would have no end.
Are the paintings at Tarquinia meant to depict real life, or are these visions of what would happen in the afterlife? James Franklin believes the paintings at Tarquinia represent a rather select vision.
They were certainly a very, very wealthy population, the ruling class there. And they are very interesting because we see only the ruling class in the tombs and the paintings, and we wonder about the subservient class there. Very hard to find them.
Not all the Etruscan cities were as wealthy as Tarquinia. If you want to probe even further into the lives of the Etruscans, you will find further clues into their civilization in the remote Italian countryside.
Stay with us as we continue with Mysterious Places. We're back in Italy with the rise and fall of the Etruscans.
Carved into a cliff overlooking the Italian countryside are the remains of the Etruscan city of Norchia. At first glance, it is hard to see anything that resembles a city. But when you explore the area more closely, you'll find intriguing evidence that a city once thrived here. Norchia is located in a remote valley about 13 miles northeast of Tarquinia. The road is rough, so when you go there, it's a good idea to explore with an experienced local guide like Aldo Scopa.
You know, the monuments that we are going to see, even
Scopa has given archaeological tours of the region for over 20 years. He knows the area well and has permission to take a shortcut through private farmland.
But it's a little sacrifice worthwhile because the place is magnificent.
The path descends through tangled underbrush
See here,
and slippery rocks.
Like this. I can give you hands to the very good.
At the end of the path, you find the Necropolis of Norchia.
Now we are going to meet, you see, all the side of the hill was full with tombs. And here we are going to meet the first one. You know, if you stay here, you can see right away how they go inside. They are very deeply. In the death of the Etruscan, there is no sadness, you know, because they are thinking that there is another world. This is something very beautiful about the Etruscan. Something that I like very much to show you.
The arches and temples which once towered above the valley are all but gone. Yet Norchia still inspires a sense of awe and mystery. The Etruscans were obviously wise and learned people. Why did the civilization ultimately disappear? We search for the answer about 40 miles southeast from the tranquil valley of Norchia. Rome, the eternal city. Celebrated for its ancient history and wealth of antiquities. Looking at the majesty of the Colosseum or the Roman Forum, it is hard to believe that over 2,500 years ago, Rome was nothing more than a village of shepherds. Then, it was under the domination of the Etruscans. Once again, James Franklin.
And they ruled Rome for several hundred years, and the last dynasty of kings in Rome were Etruscans, the Tarquinii. Tarquinia is named for them.
But the Etruscan domination was not to last. Infighting between the various kings of the Etruscan city-states weakened their power. So began the slow decline and fall of the Etruscans. By the 3rd century BC, the tables were turned. The mighty Romans ruled the region. And where are the Etruscans today? Are these ruins all that remain of their culture, their knowledge, their civilization? Tonino Miranda believes the Etruscan civilization may be gone, but their culture is all around us.
The Etruscans were never destroyed by the Romans. They were absorbed slowly, in a slow process, into the life of Rome, political, religious. And it was an absolutely painless process of absorption.
And so, as we travel through Rome today, much of what we see was actually inspired by the Etruscans.
They were one of the major forces in shaping the ancient Romans, and so are vitally important for that. 50% of Roman civilization comes from the Etruscans.
It may be that in the end, the Etruscans are not as elusive as we think. For while much about their origins are unknown, they left behind countless clues. Their great cities of the dead, their detailed narrative paintings, their instruments of everyday life. These and other clues speak to us of a very human people, determined, even in the face of death, to celebrate their lives.
Although the origin of the Etruscan people remains a mystery, recent studies have discovered remarkable affinities between Etruscan inscriptions and those found in Asia Minor. This and other evidence may suggest that the Etruscans originated in the Eastern Mediterranean. Until next time, I'm Stacy Keach for Mysterious Places.
Mysterious Places travel provided by Trans World Airlines.